In 1628, Sweden wanted more than a warship. It wanted a floating message to Europe. The kingdom was powerful, ambitious, and ready to dominate the Baltic Sea. King Gustavus Adolphus was fighting for influence across northern Europe. To win, he needed a navy that could protect Sweden's trade, soldiers, and growing empire. So, he ordered an extraordinary ship, larger, more heavily armed, and more impressive than anything Sweden had ever launched before. In Stockholm's shipyard, hundreds of workers began shaping massive oak beams into the skeleton of a new royal warship. The project was ambitious from the beginning. Every part of the ship had to prove Swedish skill, wealth, and military strength. Day after day, carpenters, blacksmiths, rope makers, and sailors worked together as the enormous vessel slowly rose above the harbor. But the Vasa was not designed only for war. It was also designed to impress anyone who saw it. Its stern was covered in bright carvings, lions, kings, warriors, angels, and symbols of royal power painted in vivid colors. Then came the cannons. Heavy bronze guns were loaded onto two separate artillery decks, turning the ship into a floating fortress. Each new cannon made the Vasa more dangerous to its enemies, but it also made the ship heavier, taller, and less stable. When construction was completed, the Vasa looked magnificent. It towered above the water like a palace built on a wooden hull. Before the launch, sailors tested its balance by running from one side of the deck to the other. The ship rocked dangerously. Officials immediately understood that the Vasa could overturn if strong wind hit its sails. But delaying the launch would have meant questioning royal orders. Nobody wanted to tell the king that his great ship was unsafe. On August 10, 1628, the Vasa was prepared for its maiden voyage. Flags flew, gunports opened, and Stockholm gathered to watch. Thousands of spectators lined the harbor. They expected to see Sweden's newest symbol of power sail proudly into history. At first, everything looked perfect. The Vasa moved slowly away from the dock under calm skies and light wind. Then a gust pushed against the sails. The ship leaned sharply to one side, and sailors struggled to regain control. For a moment, the Vasa recovered, but everyone aboard knew something was wrong. The ship had tilted far too easily. A second gust arrived. This time, the Vasa leaned even farther, bringing its lower gunports dangerously close to the water. Seawater rushed through the open gunports. Within seconds, the heavy warship began filling from inside. Panic spread across the deck. Sailors grabbed ropes, climbed the rigging, and tried to escape as the ship rolled deeper into the harbor. From the shore, spectators watched in disbelief. The pride of Sweden was sinking before it had even left Stockholm. The Vasa disappeared beneath the water after sailing barely a few hundred meters. Its great masts were the last things visible. Rescue boats searched the harbor while officers stood silently on the shore, staring at the place where their warship had vanished. An official investigation followed. Shipbuilders, officers, and witnesses were questioned, but no one wanted to accept full responsibility. The disaster had many causes: too many cannons, a narrow hull, a high center of gravity, and warnings that had been ignored. For centuries, the Vasa remained underwater in Stockholm harbor, preserved in the cold, dark, low salinity waters of the Baltic Sea. As decades became centuries, mud slowly covered the wreck. The ship disappeared from public memory, but it was not destroyed. In the 1950s, a Swedish researcher named Anders Franzén became convinced that the lost Vasa could still be found. Divers eventually located the wreck beneath Stockholm's harbor. Remarkably, much of the ship was still standing after more than 3 centuries. In 1961, the Vasa was lifted from the water. Crowds watched as the dark wooden hull emerged into daylight again. Conservators then faced an enormous challenge: saving thousands of fragile wooden pieces that had survived underwater for centuries. Today, the Vasa stands inside a museum in Stockholm, where visitors can see one of the best preserved warships in the world. Its story became a warning for engineers, leaders, and governments. Ignoring clear evidence can turn ambition into disaster. The Vasa was meant to prove Sweden's power. Instead, it became immortal because it sank before its first journey had truly begun.